Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Layers channel. We are back for another match of the Toulouse 7, the final one of day one in the competition. It will be Fiji versus South Africa. Great way to close out the first day of action. And this is a very important game. South Africa, they did lose their first game to France. Fiji, they did draw their first game with the USA. And in a very close pool, every point is crucial. So whoever wins this game has a much better chance making their way through to those quarterfinals. Looking through at the Fiji Sevens starting lineup, it will be Sevu Mothinofangi, Josefa Talatholo, Manueli Maisama, Waisi Natungu, Jerry Tuwai, Ioani Tiba, and Felipe Saturanga, the last man in that starting side. Then for the South Africans, it will be Savui Soyas Wapi, Impi Visa, Christy Hrubla, the Vault Human, Mfundo Ndlovu, Ronald Brown, and also Sean Williams. Now, I should mention it is pouring down with rain at the moment for this final game in Toulouse, which does mean that with that slippery ball, I think that benefits the South Africans just that little bit more because the Fijians, they love to play that unpredictable rugby. And if the ball's a bit slipperier, it might be quite hard to do so. But the last time that these two sides played, it was a win for Fiji, 10 points to 7. The time before that, a little bit more one-sided in favour of the Flying Fijians, but South Africa in their first game, they found a lot that they can improve on. Fiji up against the USA, the same can be said. Let's go Fiji, says Nasal in there as well. And I should mention that both of these sides do still have one more game that will be taking place a bit later on in the day. For the South Africans, they will be going head-to-head with the USA, and for the Fijians, they have got the home nation, France, who have already got themselves 2 wins from 2 throughout this Toulouse Sevens. Morning, Hamish just got up. Says Spider Mech. Yeah, this was a game that I had to set my alarm for. We finished our last live stream at about 1:15 a.m. New Zealand time. I think I got to sleep at around 3. Set the alarm for 6:30 to get up nice and early for this game. And then after this one, you'll be scheduling some streams, heading back to bed, and ready for another big day of rugby. We have got 4 rugby union full-length games, about 6 sevens live streams that we are hoping to do tomorrow as well, or today now it is. Did South Africa win the first game, bro? They did not. They were beaten about 33 points to 7 by the French. So a very one-sided game against the South Africans that they certainly will not be happy with. I think that they have made one change in that starting lineup, I believe. No, in fact, I think they've almost gone with that same side, which is interesting to see that they've decided to stick with that same side after it didn't quite go right in the first contest. Good evening / morning, Hamish. That's great news. It actually pisses down in France as well, as over here says Fleshin. Yeah, I hope you are on, or at least Mrs. Fleshin's on the road to recovery, Fleshin. I just remembered about your message on Discord when I was a little bit earlier on in the night. Well, earlier on in the morning, I guess you should say. So hopefully she's doing all right. And if you have caught it, hopefully you are doing all right as well. It's going to be kicked in behind by South Africa. Nicely claimed by Ioani Tiba. Counter ruck there from Savui Soyas Wapi. Hands off. And support the own body weight. The penalty goes the way of Fiji. Is this the Fijian second game? It certainly is. So the first game they had was 19 all up against the USA, and that is a loose ball. Josefa Talathoro just manages to grab onto that one now. Counter ruck there from Christy Hrubla, and the penalty goes the way of the Blitzboks now. Ronald Brown, he did get himself a yellow card. Yeah, you can really hear the rain absolutely bucketing down here. Reminded me of the final in Cape Town Sevens, although neither of these sides were a part of that final. Should I mention and drew the first game, 21 all rather than 19 all there. And also they were lost to the USA, not quite draw with them. So, geez, it's bucketing down. You can hear the rain. Hopefully the rain is only a today thing and not a tomorrow in the sevens. And yep, negatory now thanks, says Fleshin. So that is good news. And I drew 14 all. There's Spider Meg. Now the ball has come out the back. It's going to be another penalty in favour in South Africa. That was actually Jerry Tuwai giving away at scrum time. That is a rare mistake from the veteran, but now going off to the Dwald Human. Straightens. He goes through. And the try has been scored. The South Africans get themselves their first of the match. And I mentioned this in the first game. After the Fijians had drawn with the USA, The yellow card there for Manuel Mai Samoa, and that is for the high shot. Went high around the neck before Uman was able to get himself the try. Yeah, got him right around the jaw. Oh, yellow card for Mai Samoa. This is a must win for both of these sides. Definitely the South Africans, though, if they want any chance of making their way through, they can still do it. They are able to get themselves the victory. Did that miss? Did he just miss from about 10 metres out? I think he did. That's going to keep the score at 5-0 in favour of the South Africans over Fiji, but not the conversion that he would have been wanting. It's going to be kicked high, nicely taken by Josefa Talatholo. And Pivisa makes the tackle on him, still inside of the 22. So ball security and the breakdown, something that the Fijians will have to be aware of throughout this match. Now, Jerry Tuai, the veteran, tried to find the pass away, but the ball slips out of his hands. Sean Williams picks it up nicely. South Africa in possession. Here's Wapi. Goes off to Ronald Brown. Taken down 20 metres out. That looked like a great turnover. Yes, it was Jerry Tuai. And you reckon Samoa blew it last night by kicking the ball back to Ireland? I think they really did. But they've still got a chance. They just need to make sure that they win this next game up against the Australians, who are sitting 2 from 2. But then even then, depending on how the USA game goes up against Japan, they might not be able to make it through even if they win it because, yeah, Australia beat the USA, didn't they? So that makes it tricky. Or sorry, not the USA, Ireland. So, yeah, they might have completely blown at the Samoans. Now kicks that ball back on the halfway line now for Fiji. Now, I will mention there won't be a lot of roll at the moment due to how wet it is, but Josefa Talathola, there'll certainly be a bit of sprint left in his tank. Only the second game of the day, depending on the competition. Of course, sometimes we have 3, sometimes we have 2. It is going to be a knock-on against the South Africans, and Fiji are going to have themselves the scrum. Now, it is absolutely bucketing still. And I'll mention the South Africans going with a different tactic in this game. At the moment, it has worked not too badly. It's pretty much as soon as the breakdown hits, dive in there. And that seems to be the best tactic. Just get into that breakdown as quickly as possible. Yes, they've given away, I believe, 1 penalty for losing their footing so far. But if they can have more wins in terms of those breakdowns than losses, they will be pretty happy overall. It may just cost them a few penalties in the process. Okay, we're too far away for this weather. It's the comment from the referee there. Now, Jerry Tuai to feed this ball in for the Flying Fijians. 2.5 minutes remaining in this first half. They are down by 5, which means a converted try would get them back into the contest. Now, I do see the scoreboard is not updated, so I do apologise for it being a little bit slow. It's stolen there by the South Africans. Now, Savui Sawyers Wapi. Ball on the outside to Sean Williams. Moves up to halfway. Dragged down in the end by Jerry Tuai, but he made a few extra post-contact meters before doing so. There will be a drop ball from Ndlovu out of New Zealand go so far. They are sitting 2 wins from 2. Got themselves their first win up against the Canadians by about, I believe it was about 15 points, somewhere around there. And then their second win was up against the Kenyans. So they are pretty much guaranteed for the quarterfinals at this stage. Last game up against Uruguay, which is happening, I believe, at about 11 p.m. tonight, somewhere around there. Maybe a little bit later, 11:30 or so. Now, Jerry Tuai once again puts the ball in. Huge amount of experience for that man. 140 tries on the circuit. Nice piercing run there from the Fijians, managing to find one offload. Now Ndlovu goes in. Ball once again slippery, so it does end up slipping out the side of the breakdown. And that means now that South Africa have another chance. Ronald Brown down the wing. Now, I'll tell you what, my Samoa, he's got to be careful after already receiving a yellow card. Got to go a bit lower. So New Zealand played all the tough teams, says Hunter in there. Yeah, I think they'll much prefer their group than this one with Fiji, South Africa, France, and the USA. Don't know how they ended up all in the same one, but yeah, New Zealand will certainly take it. Now, MP Visa goes across to Christy Hrabala. Tackled by my Samoa again. Now, Fiji do end up losing this game. That last game would be almost a must-win in fact, it would be, because if they didn't, and South Africa won their last game up against the USA, that's going to become a penalty. Double blow of the whistle. Another yellow card for Fiji. This time it is going to be against Mothinothangi for diving over the breakdown, ceding the penalty. And this is not the game that the Fijians were after at the end of the day. You just knock in the hand of Sean Williams. Count that as a deliberate knock on and from an offside position for Mothinothangi. 40 seconds remaining, and South Africa once again are in a good attacking position on the field, about 22 metres out. Currently find themselves in 6th in the overall standings. Fiji in 3rd on 130. So if the Argentines had been knocked out relatively early and Fiji had gone on to win the whole thing, it would have meant that they had a very good chance of finishing 2nd overall in the Sevens rankings rather than first. There is going to be the advantage now. Ronald Brown pretty much begging the referee for the penalty there. He knew the rules and knew that he might be able to get his side. Nice advantage. Come on, Fiji, not yellow, says Nasal. Yeah, already 2 yellow cards. What about our Wahine? We get used to it. I believe the women's side have been able to get themselves to victory as well. When's our Seven Sisters playing? They are probably playing, I believe their next game's at about maybe 9:30. Oh, in fact, no, I think it's about maybe 10 o'clock tonight. Their next game. If our Fiji given away 5 penalties in this first half, the scoreboard still does not realise that South Africa scored. Might be the rainy conditions. Ronald Brown waiting to feed this ball in and does so eventually. Now going off to the right-hand side to the walled human. Cross kick attempt. Sean Williams takes it, but he does slip in the process. Dragged down, but the offload on the inside. And Ulobu does get the 2nd try of the match for the South Africans. They now sit 10-0 up over the Flying Fijians. Now, I should mention that Fiji played USA most recently, and they were 14-0 down. Still came back to tie that game 21 points to 21. So it is not over yet for the Fijians, but certainly making it tough for themselves for the start of the second half. And these tough conditions, I did say that I felt it favoured South Africa just that little bit more. The offloading has not quite been as crisp for the Fijians, as well as in that breakdown. Anytime the South Africans have thrown those players in there, even if it just hits one player's foot, it's bouncing out the side, slipping about out of the halfback's hands. That is a great kick from the walled human. That will now make the score at halftime 12 points to 0. Great start to the match. They've got some very talented players coming off the bench. Ricardo, James Duarte, Ryan Oosterhuizen, and Shilton van Wyk, just to name a few. And the title already won by our New Zealand sisters. Well, 7 sisters. All they do is turn up. Says Spider-Mick. They'll be hoping that that is the same for the Olympics just around the corner. Of course, they've qualified with where they are sitting on the standings, but to be able to get themselves that gold medal at the Olympics, I'm sure they'd be very happy, because that would be back-to-back titles as well. Of course, last time it was New Zealand gold, France got themselves the silver, and then it was actually Fijiana who got the bronze. That was massive for those Fiji women side there, but Australia, they weren't on the hunt last year. Now I'm sure that they will be frustrated about that. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to either knock out maybe the big side like New Zealand, win one of those other games as it comes up. And it's getting closer and closer. 2024 is just around the corner. We're already into the 5th month of this year. The winter here in New Zealand is currently 6 degrees Celsius. I've got shorts on. That's just the Kiwi way, I guess. And unlucky for the Chiefs, says Max. Yeah, they were outplayed that game up against a tough Reds side. The Reds actually, they really impressed me throughout that game. And it was just a good 80 minutes of rugby between the two sides. Like, there weren't a huge amount of stoppages, not a huge amount of penalties either. It was just free-flowing rugby most of the time, which was great to see. Now, 7 minutes remaining, 12 points to 0 currently. The Blitzboks do find themselves in the lead by the walled human. Just about to get us underway. Unlucky for the Drua. There's Nasal in there. They did get defeated by the Western Force. That one has gone, I'd say, 4 meters for the kickoff from the walled human. So straight away, the Fijians will have themselves the quick tap on the halfway line. Now, that is Similar to what we saw in the game between Fiji and the USA, the Fijians were given that very early opportunity in the second half, and they scored within 30 seconds after scoring right at the end of the first. Dragged down on the halfway line, but once again, that ball slipping around all over the place in the breakdown. Fiji will get themselves the penalty, though. Vailawa now going across to the left-hand side. Now, Vailawa was actually able to get himself 6 tries in the last leg of the Sevens. Now off to the right-hand side here. Jerry Tuwai, nice inside ball to Josefa Talatholo. Places the ball down. Now trying to decide which way to go there for the Fijians. And that is the tricky part, knowing who will have that best opportunity of going over. Definitely when you've only got 6 men on the field. MP Visa in through the side. They're going to say it's loose again, and the South Africans do get themselves another penalty now. Kicked them on from Sean Williams. See what, that breakdown's going to be Fijians' kryptonite in this matchup. I can already tell. Tackle, Ronald Brown has to release and get out of there. Now 10 metres out from their own line. Josefa Talatholo breaks one line. He needs the support run, although he's gone straight through. Him and Christy Horobola in a foot race. Looks like he is going to be caught. Brilliantly done, but not quite for long enough, or is it? Now Vailawa goes across to Josefa Talatholo. Now once again back to Vailawa. The Fijians just couldn't quite find that last pass. Trying to swat that one away was Impivisa. That's an advantage against them. It will be the try, though, for Waisia Natungu. And they fire back eventually there, Fiji. I feel like they should have taken the 3 for the golden point. Says Max in there. I mean, it's one of those ones, though, when you've won 10 games in a row, you don't have that mindset of only trying to draw a game, do you? At the final 80 minutes. And, of course, you would go to extra time, but normally you don't want to take that risk. You want to get it done in the full 80. So, I mean, they can look at it now as they should have maybe taken the 3, but they also had 25 phases 10 metres out from the Reds line, so they also just needed that one good pass and they would have gone over. I'm going to the Hurricanes versus Moana tomorrow or today. There's Max there. Better game, boys, South Africa. There's Yarnlu there as well, and the conversion is successful from the Flying Fijians. That will now make the score 7 points to 12, and as we get closer to the end of this game, so does the scoreboard. Natongu himself his 134th try on the series, I believe somewhere around there. It is a very high number at this point for Waisia Natungu. Kicking off, that one has been misread by the South Africans. The ball is loose and the Walt Human does jump on it for the South Africans. Oh, that penalty goes the way of Fiji. That is well done. They have realised what South Africa were doing in the breakdown. They replicated it there, and they now have themselves the penalty. Oh, no. Referee's changed his mind. To give the penalty to Fiji, now he said the ball was originally knocked out by the Fijians, so it is going to be the scrum feed for South Africa. Did the Boks beat the USA before? So South Africa in their first game up against France were defeated about 33 points to 7. They still get their game later on tonight up against the US, which we will be covering on the channel as well, I should mention. So anyone who is new, if you want to leave a like and subscribe. Currently the points table, it sits as follows. South Africa on 4 for the live table, that is. South Africa in second overall. France sitting on 6 in first. But if the Fijians win this game, they will bump themselves up into second in the overall standings. Now ball fed in by Ricardo James Duarte. Goes off to the Walt Uman. Now on the outside, Shilton Van Veek going to be back in his pace. He's gone for the chip and chase, and it is going to be pulling up just short of the in-goal area. Oh, that's a big mistake from the Fijians. They didn't pick the ball up. Shilton Van Veek kicks it forward, gets the grubber away, and it's another try for South Africa. And what time's Fiji's last game says Nasal. Final game for the Fijians, I believe, is taking place at 12:11 a.m. tomorrow morning. If the ref stupid egg, says Spider Mech. And there, yeah, Jerry Tuwai was about to put the ball down for such an experienced veteran. That is a rookie mistake there. And now the South Africans, they get themselves another chance to convert. Oh, he's hit the post and it's come back out. And you can see the frustration on the face of Ricardo James Duarte. 2 converted tries, or even 1 converted try and another one would get the Fijians the lead. New Zealand time, 12:11 a.m. That one, yep. So, yeah, quite a late night game, but it is the last game that has taken place of the morning session before we head into the quarterfinals, etc. And Van Vick, well done, says Jan Lubrand. Now, it's going to be the Wald Uman lining up this kick. Just back underway. Not quite taken cleanly once again. Jerry Tawai makes a mistake. This is not his game so far. Does Aussie win its game? They certainly did. So they are sitting 2 from 2 at the moment. Cross kick. Nicely done. Goes to Shilton Van Vick. Down the wing. Logan Amasi able to stop it just in touch. They want to take this one quickly. They won't be able to, though. 2.5 minutes remaining. Highlanders or Brumbies, says Max. It's going to be a tough game for the Highlanders. Brumbies a good side at the moment in Super Rugby, but it's hard to tell, isn't it? Because the Highlanders, they didn't play terribly last week, from what I remember. Who did they play last week? I've already forgotten. They were up against one of the Australian sides, I think. No, my brain's gone blank. It is 7 a.m. though, so I'm sure it will fire up at some stage. And then near future, that's going to be the penalty to South Africa again. Fiji's hopes are going through here. Maybe slowly drifting away. The Chiefs. Yeah, see, they went well in that first half up against the Chiefs, didn't they? It was just that second half slowly drifted away from them. South Africans know that they can take their time here. Yeah, this game played in dry conditions, maybe completely different story. But you got to play to the conditions, and that is one thing Fiji have not done throughout this first 13 minutes of the contest. Ricardo James Duarte and the South Africans about to feed the ball in. And that will be a much-needed victory after that defeat up against the French. That will be the free kick, taking it quickly. Ricardo James Duarte got a bit of goal line fever there, thought he was going to be able to go over himself. But instead now has had to go off to Impivisa. James Murphy, halfback now, looking to go wide. Gerdold with the nice step. Look for the offload on the inside. That will be an advantage for the knock-on against the Fijians. Now another scrum attempt. Shouldn't Brazil at lock. Says Max there. One try will do it for us, South Africa. Says Young. I'm going to shoot off Hamish. Time for work later on, says Spider-Mick. Yeah, we will see you later on. 4 Fijian handling errors throughout this game, though, conceding about 6 or 7 penalties throughout the 7 minutes as well. Fijians. It's been the first day in a while that they've walked away winless for a day one. Although they did have the draw, of course, but not getting themselves that almighty 3 points. Ricardo James Duarte puts the ball in. Now 17 seconds remaining. Once again, he'll snipe, and this time he gets it right. Ricardo James Duarte. That will add to the points tally for the South Africans. 24 points to 7. This game will be more than likely ending, and the Fijians, they are disappointed with what has happened to South Africa. Massive comeback, though. I mentioned it after their game up against France. I said, do not count this Blitzboks side out. They have got the potential of firing back and winning their game up against the Fijians. I thought it would be closer, to be honest. Also, didn't think it would be played in pouring rain. For both sides, sure that they'll be very happy that that game is over. We'll be able to head away to the showers. And that is the end of day one in the Sevens, ladies and gentlemen. The end score, 24 points to 7 in favour of the South Africans. We'll mention we have got plenty more Sevens action coming up in the near future. Next game that we are covering, I believe, is going to be at 9:59 tomorrow night. And that is going to be Samoa versus the Australians. And Fiji is done for this game. Says Nasal, yep, they'll be able to go back to the drawing board for tomorrow, try and work out how they can get through. The thing is, if South Africa win their next game up against the USA, the Fijian hopes of going through to those quarterfinals are over, which is not what they will be wanting at all. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy this live stream, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. We will have a preview coming out a bit later on in the day for the Australian versus Samoa matchup. Thank you all very much for tuning in. I will see you all for the next.